Welcome back, everybody. This is Joshua Talks Money. Today's video, we're going through everything you need to know about 401ks, from what it is, how to invest money into one, the things you got to look out for, and we'll hopefully answer the questions you have. So stick with me, let's dive right in. All right, so if this is the first time you're watching this channel, welcome. Here we talk about everything personal finance, from taxes, saving for retirement, investing. If that sounds good to you, please hit the like button and subscribe. So according to a CNBC survey, only 10% of respondents were confident they had enough money saved up for retirement. Now that's pretty scary, because that means 9 out of 10 people, they really don't know, or they're not certain that their retirement years are going to be comfortable. So the first question you may have is, what is a 401k? 401k is actually a reference to the tax code that outlines this exact thing. And so in the simplest terms, a 401k is really just an account that's sponsored by your employer, by your job, and it allows you to put your paycheck, put money into that account, and it will grow for your retirement. And theoretically, if this all works out, you'll be putting money away in that 401k as you work, and one day you'll be able to retire, perhaps down here in South Florida with me, on a beach full of happiness and free of anxiety. So outside of the obvious that you're designating some money for retirement, there's also tax benefits, and that's primarily the reason to do this. Okay, so let's pretend you make about $50,000 a year in a salary, and you've decided you're going to put 5% of your annual income into a 401k. And so if my math checks out right, your gross paycheck for about 26 pay periods a year should be about $1,900, and then 5% contribution over the course of the year means about $96 a paycheck is going into your 401k. You with me so far? So think of it that way. Every check, about $100, goes into your retirement account. Well, the cool part is that $96 specifically is coming out of your gross check before taxes and everything else. So it's kind of the set it and forget it. It's going in before taxes, and that money is in that account, and it's going to grow and be there when you retire. Okay, so the next thing that's really cool about this is the employer match. Now, if your company offers a match, I'd highly recommend that you contribute at least the amount that they match. And the reason for that is, it's basically, in my opinion, free money. So if you made that $50,000 and your employer matches up to 5%, well, 5% of your income is $2,500. So if you put $2,500 into your retirement 401k, the company will too. So you're basically making not just $50,000, but now you're really bringing in $52,500 because of their match. And it's really simple. If we go back to the example of that $96 paycheck contribution, with the match, they would be contributing $96 a check as well. And so now you're getting close to $200 a month going towards retirement. That's really exciting, because that starts to grow and compound. And you'll see that those contributions, while they're small at first, can really make a big impact over time. Okay, so the next question that I would ask myself is, where is this money going? I get it. Okay, the math makes sense. I know I have to save for retirement. Yes. But where is this money going? So when you sign up for your 401k, there'll be some options you can click around, and basically you're choosing a fund to put that money in each month. And these funds are made up of things like stocks and bonds and kind of a mixture of different investments. And those are usually built around your risk tolerance or your age. So you may see things like this super fancy fund, 2035, super fancy investment fund, 2040. What those are, something called a target date fund. And that's a fund built around the target kind of year that you may retire in the future. The investments that make up that fund are actually curated, and they will taper off in risk the older you get. And the reason for that is because as you generally get older, You have less years to make up in the event there's a big market crash or something. And so the risk tolerance usually will decline. And these funds help you deal with that automatically. So that's pretty nice. It's a pretty reasonable option where you can basically put money in there and not really have to think about it. And so if you're just getting started, that's a really great option for you. You'll see other things too though, like large cap and small cap and growth, and these different keywords you'll kind of see. All those really mean is it's the types of companies and investments that make up that fund. And you can research some of these things on websites like Morningstar or Yahoo Finance. What I personally invest in for my 401k is I'm looking at the S&P 500 index fund. And what that means is my money's going into this index fund that follows the S&P 500. It kind of tracks the stock market. And that's something that I really like. Usually that has much lower fees than some of these other mutual funds you may see. And that's the next big focus. You need to look at something called the expense ratio. The expense ratio is the cost that you pay to have your money in that fund. Let's take an expense ratio of 1%. That means for every $1,000 you have invested, there's going to be about a $10 fee per year on that money. And that's pretty high. And over time, as you have something very big, a very big account, those fees do matter. They do eat into your overall performance and returns. And so it's usually advised to look for something much lower. I'm a huge fan of Vanguard. Vanguard offers expense ratios that are like 0.03%. That's really exciting. I don't want to be paying a bunch of fees. I want my money to stay in my account and grow and work for me, right? That sounds good. Next, let's talk about how much money you can put in. So as of 2020, an individual like myself, I could contribute up to $19,500 per year into a 401k. If you're 50 years or older, they allow you to basically catch up and contribute more, up to an additional $6,500, so for a total of $26,000 per year. And I like to know that number. It gives me kind of a baseline. And I do this honestly when I go to a hotel. Before I book a room, I may look at, what's the most expensive, luxurious room. We start there, and then we work backwards down to reality to the room I'm going to book. But at least I have a baseline of like the max versus where I'm going to be. And so the max would be 19.5, 26 if you're 50 or older. And that's really the ballpark that you can work in. If you're married, your spouse can do the same, right? So for my wife and I, we both maxed out our 401ks, 19.5. That's really exciting, and it took a while to work up to that point. And the way I did this was I said, hey, let's use that $50,000 salary as an example. If I were to max out my 401k, well, that's $19,500 right off the top, and I need to take the remainder of that salary, break it down, look at the taxes, and look at my net paycheck amount to see, can I live off that, right? Can I pay the bills if this much money is just automatically going into the retirement account? Okay, so you're with me so far. You know what it is. You know where the money's going. You understand the matching. You're thinking about the math. But the last thing you have to consider is, what if I need to get that money out? Well, the good news is you can do that. It's not locked away in some black box forever. It's very easy to get the money out. The bad news is there's a penalty to do that. Now that word penalty, I don't like it. It kind of scares me because it should. It's a fee. It's an unnecessary charge for doing something that you're technically not supposed to within the structure of this investment retirement account. And so what the government does is they say, hey, if you're not 56 and a half years old and you want to touch that money, you're going to pay a penalty of 10%, and then we're going to tax the money as income. So some quick math. Let's say there was a reason you needed to pull $10,000 out of your 401k. Well, you're going to pay a $1,000 fee, that's the penalty, early withdrawal penalty. And then let's use like a 22% tax number. You're going to pay $2,200. That's the tax for getting that money. That's the tax you didn't pay when you funded it, by the way. And so now that 10 grand has shrunk down to $6,800. And not only are you paying out $3,200 in fees and taxes, but the money is no longer invested. It's not compounding. You're not getting the gains that the market may be giving. And so it's really a bad idea to pull that out. I tell people, put the money away that you know you're not going to need to go grab 6 months from now. Almost as money that you don't really need at all. It'd be ideal to have more money at your discretion to spend, but if you don't actually need it to pay bills or to hedge against some upcoming emergencies or purchases, put it away, set it and forget it, and you'll be in good shape. Okay, to wrap this up, 401ks, investing account for retirement, pre-tax dollars. Make sure you take advantage of your employer matching. It's free money. Pick an investment that meets your age and risk tolerance. I'm going with the S&P 500 index. Whatever you do, try not to pull out the money before you retire. You'll get hit with penalties and fees and taxes, which we never want. We want to always avoid. And so before we go, I'd love for you to drop a comment with if your company does employer matching. Let me know how much. What percentage is it? Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it nothing? Let us know. I'd love to see the different responses, and hopefully you're taking advantage of that. All right, we'll be back soon with another video on all things personal finance. Thanks so much for joining. We'll talk to you soon.